All right. Thanks for doing this today. I appreciate it very much.
Excellent.
So obviously you've just got this new Anderson Wakeman record out, The Living Tree. Tell me,
Yeah.
how did this come about, the idea to do an album with just Rick and yourself?
Well, we were planning to do a concert in the UK. We had a couple of dozen shows in the UK in October. So about, I think it was midsummer, I said to Rick, why don't we write a few songs for the show? And new songs are always interesting to perform. So we started writing some songs. We finished up enough for an album. And that's why we put together the album and thought, well, put the album out. It was really good to perform the songs on stage. So the audiences loved the new songs, and then we decided to put the album out.
How's the compositional process different when you know it's just you and he working together, as opposed to if you were working on a larger group project?
Right. Well, it's a lot simpler. Rick would send me some music by the internet on MP3, and I wouldn't listen to the music too much. I just start the recording right away and just spontaneously sing something and come up with some ideas. I like to do that. When you're working with one-on-one, it's a lot easier to be spontaneous with melodies and lyrics, and came together pretty quickly.
So none of these are songs that had been started for other projects? They were all specifically written for this album?
Yeah, I think there's one song that I'd written with a young pianist out of New Jersey. Again, he sent me the song on the internet, and I just sang it and thought that me and Rick would do a good job with it. So that's the only song that was out of the Rick and Jon sort of writing. And it just worked out. It's the last song called Just One Man.
Right, I got you. Cool.
And the rest were, as I say, me and Rick, just to and froing by the internet, the modern studio.
Do you like that style as opposed to going to a remote location, everybody together and working on an album all of a piece?
I think it's different strokes. I've been working with different people around the world by the internet over the last 5 years. So I have a couple of dozen people that I work with on a regular basis, all very talented. And so I just said, Rick, send me the music and I'll sing it and we'll see what it sounds like. And it always sounded really great. And it's just very more instant ideas. We didn't have to sit around and think about it too much.
Yeah.
With a group situation, it's obviously very different. You work with a band and you start with song ideas, and I would generally come up with some musical approach. And each member of the band puts in their ideas,
Yeah.
But with one-on-one, it's sort of a different thing.
It has to be easier to not have to appease as many people over parts and that sort of thing.
Well, when you work as a band, there's a lot of to and froing, and you try to make everybody happy, and that works generally 80% of the time.
Yeah.
So and what you finish up with is very interesting music. In a group situation, it always evolves into a more dynamic structure, longer pieces of music, because you have so much talent to encompass, really.
With this album particularly, how did you settle on the title and the concept of The Living Tree?
Well, I've been singing the song, and the lyric of The Living Tree came up in a song that was originally 9 minutes long, and then we edited it part 1 and part 2. And I just had this feeling that the connection with the tree, with the earth, and the wonderful oxygen that it gives us, and it gives us a lot more, because it is part and parcel of Mother Earth and the connection with the birds and the bees, the creepers and the crawlers. And in a way, we tend to forget how interconnected we are with Mother Earth. And that was, the idea was learning to love yourself and remember who you truly are. I think it was part of the lyrical content. There was a mystical, sacred side to it. And I, for one, driven around not even looking at trees. Sometimes you do, but now I look at them on such a different level.
Does that play into going green at all? I mean, is that a concern of yours, the way our environment is progressing and some of the environmental policies of governments around the world?
Well, we're waking up, thank God, you know. You know, Mother Earth is us. We are part of Mother Earth, and if we damage Mother Earth, then we're damaging ourselves collectively.
What's your take on the global warming thing? There's obviously a lot of debate back and forth about whether it's caused by man, whether it's just cyclical.
I think it's more cyclical, and the Mother Earth is such a powerful energy force, and we are very lucky to be here on this planet, and we must learn to be, as indigenous people say, we must be the caretakers of Mother Earth. And over the last maybe 10, 20 years, we've started to realize collectively that we are one, and we shouldn't disregard everybody else in the world and just ruin our part of the world, etc., etc. You know the story.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we all are starting to understand it a little bit better, and we're living in a very unique time of slow but definite awakening.
But it seems like any paradigm shift in thinking has to happen in baby steps. You know, it doesn't happen all at once.
Yeah, and you know, musicians and poets have always sort of spoke about, and artists in general have always wanted to dream it into a better place and dream the world into a better place for our children and children's children.
Yeah.
The Monty Python, the children's 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 children. And Life of Brian. You know,
what are your...
It's just an ongoing thing, and you know, I sing about it like a troubadour.
So is that how you see your role in things?
Yeah.
It's sort of bringing different...
I have a great life. You know, I'm very much in love. I have a beautiful wife, and we live in a beautiful part of the world in Central California where the weather's pretty nice all the time. I travel the world. I sing songs. What a life, you know. I'm so blessed. So in a way, I want to think about how I feel about life and how beautiful and joyful life truly is. And, you know, you have different people writing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll still, so what the heck, you know. I'm just, the way I like to write is be positive and honest about life. And, you know, there are songs on the album that relate to the war in Afghanistan. You know, 23-24-11 is like a sad reflection of war. Again, I think troubadours have always sung about the sadness of war.
I saw on your Facebook page that you announced that you'd become an American citizen in 2009.
Yeah, I was very happy to be, you know, dual citizenship. You know, I love England, I love Britain, I love everything about the UK so much. You know, I'm watching football about an hour ago from the UK. It's just that I'm not into the baked beans anymore. and the very oily bacon sandwiches that I used to love. I'm a lot healthier, thankfully.
Yeah.
And to be an American is to be part of the world, because America is all the people of the world come to America. And I'm always on reflection of the Native Americans, how we lost contact with the indigenous people of this part of the world and how we need to re-communicate. And the only way we're doing it now is via the casinos. And that's interesting, too. We're giving them our money. Well, I don't give them my money. But they deserve it, you know. You know, happily they've been welcomed into the United Nations last year, which was a great moment in the history of our human experience. To welcome back the indigenous people of the world into the United Nations. That was a great moment.
Was there any desire on your part, was it driven by the desire to take part in the election that was coming up? Did that tip the balance in order to say, I want to finally do this?
Not really. I was just feeling that it was time. I've been living here 20 years. I pay my taxes. I may as well be an American, you know. And my wife said,
right.
It's a good time to be an American. I said, you're right. You know, the dream is still there, and the dream will develop, and I want to be part of that.
Talking about 23-24-11, obviously, I mean, I'm imagining you took an anti-war stance when we decided to go into those two wars. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh gosh, yeah. I just had this painful feeling of the children being bombed in Baghdad. It's like shock and awe. It was a lot of bullshit, really, and eventually we will be told the truth, as we are constantly being told the truth about a lot of things these days. Thanks to the internet, the truth will set us free.
Of course, I can't say what's justified and what's not, but it's interesting that there's an automatic response on a sort of governmental level that says, go get them. It's always that government or corporate level response, and oftentimes it's not what the people living in the country really want. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, war is big business.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's a lot of money going to and fro, and unfortunately a lot of angst and a lot of fear and a lot of doubt and eventually a lot of wonderful people like soldiers that are out there, men and women that are out there trying to do the best they can. They come back being wounded on many levels. And that's what the song's about.
Right.
And no matter which way, we as the common people have a right to say that war isn't eventually good for us, And maybe this will be one of the last wars that will explain that to us, and that's what we're going through, a final demise of warlike tendencies. And one of the reasons that I can say that is that corruption is being found out on a global level, and there's no reason to fear China or India, who are now giants, both financially and collectively, in a very different world than it was 20 years ago. When I used to go to China, I was very interested in working in China because of their incredible knowledge and incredible history, which was happening way before Greece. And, the Mayan and the Central American were happening civilizations around the time of Greece. And generally speaking, we're taught in schools, as I was, that Greece was the sort of beginning of civilization, and it's very untrue. The dragon, the China that's been sleeping for such a long time is coming to the fore, and it has been documented many, many times how China, the Asian people, will be a strong part of how the world evolves, and why not?
Well, it's an older culture, definitely.
Yeah, and very unknown to the Western civilizations, who tend to pass them off as now dangerous people. Which is kind of stupid, in many ways. It's very like, we're Christians and they're Buddha, but you know what? Who's Buddha? Well, Buddha, Jesus, Mohammed, Krishna, all of them risen masters, and they have a right to be seen as the pathway to the divine, rather than, they're not going to heaven, all those Chinese people. And that's a lot of crap, as we know.
Yeah, well, it just seems to me sometimes that when people are stuck on seeing one particular book as being the way, then they discard every other way, and then of course that's part of what causes wars. If somebody says, I have this book that says I get this piece of land, and somebody else says, I have this book that says I get this piece of land,
Right. Well, that's why we're waking up in a slow way to realizing that we're all collectively part of Mother Earth, and we all have our different paths to understanding God, if you like. And through art and music and all sorts of wonderful evolving experiences via the internet, we're going to be an awakening consciousness on this planet. It's a great time to be alive.
So you find the internet primarily positive, then? Is that fair to say?
Totally.
I speak with musicians all the time that take the negative view of it, which is, illegal downloading is killing the label paradigm and hitting us in the pocketbook, basically.
Well, then we've got to wake up, because that's not the be-all and end-all of life. life. If you want to become a rock star, well, sorry. That was in the 70s and 80s, and the rest is all sort of the game of chance out there to become rich and famous.
Right.
And, you know, there are different ways to become rich and famous. You've got to use what, you know, the mothers of invention. Necessity is the mother of invention. So we're going through this incredible experience with the internet, and I'm jumping in the deep end.
Well, good for you.
I've
That's
been doing
great.
it for 10 years, so I don't see the problem.
Yeah, right. Now, I wanted to talk about your health. What is the status of your health right now?
I'm great now. You know, I had 2 years of 1 year of really going through difficult times, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, I'm born again, and I'm stronger than ever. I have to watch over myself. I have to, you know, I'm not a 30-year-old rock and roller on tour forever. Like, yes, you know, I can't do that. I can tour, actually. It's kind of funny because I've been on tour doing my solo show. I sing probably twice as much as I ever did with Yes.
Right.
I do a show that nearly is sometimes 2 hours, and I'm talking and singing all the time. But I'm in a very relaxed place, and it's just me on stage, and I don't have to contend with turn the bass down, you know. Constant problems of why doesn't everybody get on, you know.
Yeah.
You know, well, people get old, you know. In the 70s, everybody got on because we were healthy and happy and famous and successful. Everybody loved each other. And then as soon as things go a bit wrong, you know, the problems come. But over years, you know, you get to a stage where, you know, bands stay together because it's business, and it's still great music. But when I got sick, I just couldn't continue. This is about 5 years ago. I was really ill.
Yeah.
And the guys didn't understand it. And what's to say why they didn't understand it? I don't know. But that's life. You know, you get on with my next thing. I'm actually, I have a song that's I have a song on the album that's number 1 at the moment.
Oh, that's, you're talking about,
Kanye West, he sampled my voice.
Yeah, that's right. That is totally unexpected.
Well, he asked me, I said, yeah, please, you know.
Yeah.
He's a very, very talented guy, and I was actually at the Grammy Museum 2 days ago in L.A. working and singing and talking with about 50 young kids from the projects in L.A., and they just wanted me to sing, Can We Get Much Higher? You know, I said, oh, okay. Because they know me from there, you know.
Isn't that a trip? That is so cool.
Yeah, and I have a song coming out on Jonathan Elias's new album, Prayer Cycle number 2. It's coming out May the 10th. And it's me with the full orchestra and choir singing with this incredible Pakistani singer who is Rafayat Allah Khan. I think that's his name. Great spiritual singer of Pakistan. And the song is one of those things that happened right in the middle of my illness. So my health is very strong. My dreams are stronger than ever, and more to come.
Now, when you go out and do your solo shows or the shows you do with Rick, what's it like to reimagine those old Yes songs in new arrangements for those shows?
Well, I sing them as I first wrote them. So I'm singing Starship Trooper, as I explained to the audience. You know, I could hardly play. I knew a few chords. I didn't know that many, but I was writing songs that were very different at that time because that's the way I felt about things. So I play the E shape on the guitar and slide it up and sing Starship Trooper to the audience and say, this is another song I wrote, very simple chords, but the song is very, very sweet and very interesting. So the audience get a chance to hear the lyric and the vocal as it was originally sort of conceived.
That's cool.
And as I say, when I do All of a Lonely Heart, it's like a tightrope walking. You know, to try and do it on acoustic guitar is crazy.
Yeah.
But the audience love it, and I tell them, I said, I know this is a crazy idea, but I'm going to try it, so hold on tight.
That's cool. Rick,
And I play the piano and sing songs like Close to the Edge and bits of Tales from Topographic on the piano, because it's a very simple way of expressing the Gates of Delirium.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I wrote that on piano and took it to the band on piano.
Really?
I said, I've got this idea, and it's crazy, and it must have sounded so bad. Because I could hardly play the piano, but the idea was there. It was like a symphony to me, you know, going to war and then a peaceful ending. Soon, oh soon, the light. So I played it all the way through, and it really must have sounded terrible, but they understood it a little bit, and then they got understanding and developing it, and that's how it became, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still writing Yes music, even though I'm not in the band, because that's what I do. You know, it's part of my DNA, you know.
Right. I mean, whatever you write is going to sound like you, and you were such a big part of the band's sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'd write the songs, I'd come up with ideas for the structure. You know, I pushed them up the mountain every time when we did Close to the Edge, Overgraphic, Against Delirium, Awaken, one of my favorite pieces. I pushed them up the mountain. They wouldn't have gone there without me, because it was my dream. I had this idea. But why don't we, we're talented musicians, why don't we expand music and make it something different, rather than chase the charts or chase the pop world? No. We were so lucky, of course, because we had a great record company in Alma Ertigan's Atlantic Records.
You know, it occurs to me you came up in a brief window of time where you could make that kind of music and you could get a record deal,
Yeah.
and people would actually buy it.
Vision Orchestra, one of the great bands at that time, with no singer.
Yeah, yeah,
In Crimson,
yeah.
you know, Zeppelin relied on hit records.
That's kind of true, yeah.
And so did Genesis, eventually. But there was just a handful of bands that sort of, a little bit like Frank Zappa, you know, you survived on your music. And you have a hit or two, and you're lucky to get that. But the rest is all, people come to see you because you're like Pink Floyd. You have a stage show, you have a presentation, you're bigger than the norm. And that's what Yes was able to do over the years and years. Because, you know, the Beatles, God bless them, they only lasted 8 years. It was amazing. You know, bands like Yes kept going until, you know, 35 years later, I was still there in the band.
Yeah, you could have never anticipated that in the beginning. I mean,
Unbelievable.
Yeah, there's no way to ever
I
do
worked
it.
hard, and I still do.
Now, Rick has talked a little bit about the possibility of an Anderson, Wakeman, Rabin project. Is that going to move forward? Do you know?
I don't know. I got an email from Trevor today. He's off to London to see his son playing in his first... he has a great band, his son, Brian. They have a great band, and we're doing some gigs in the UK, so he went over. I was with Trevor last week. He was finishing off some music for a great new movie on DreamWorks called I Am 4. It's going to be the big blockbuster movie this summer, and Trevor's really doing some great film scores, you know.
Oh, gosh, he's been in...
We talked over the last couple of years about maybe getting together and doing some concerts, re-looking at the album Talk, and 9125, Big Generator, and a couple of 2 or 3 Yes classics, but centering in on that, and maybe we've written a couple of new songs. Me and Rick have written 2 songs for the project, but it's like anything, it's timing.
Yeah.
It'll happen when it happens, and I'll be there.
Now, who would be the other people? Or is people have rumored like Bruford and Levin to round it out? Is that in the offing?
Bill is not touring anymore. He doesn't want to do concerts anymore. He does his book tours, but he specifically says he's not going to play drums wherever he is, and that's Bill. You know, he's decided he doesn't want to do it no more. But you can never discount that.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. We've got some ideas of how we'd like to put on a show, but you know, timing. You know, Trevor's got work, Rick's got work, and I'm busy. But eventually, the timing will work. You know.
Yeah.
It'll either be this summer or next summer, but we'll do it.
Excellent. Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I had asked Rick about it.
I was there actually last year doing a concert in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah?
It's real fun.
The Hall of Fame is given really short shrift to progressive rock, and so have rock critics for the most part.
It was never within the business. It was never I suppose, a money-making proposition. So the business itself sort of turned a sort of blind eye to Yes, especially, and just say, well, yeah, they're progressive rock. Like you used to say, well, that's jazz, you know. keep it over there. It's not real music. Well, it's music, but it's not really business or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll understand that yes, music was and is great music, and it deserves a place in any Hall of Fame of any, whether it's the Hall of Fame in London or Cleveland or wherever. But I don't think about it every day. I think about it when people mention it. That's all. It'll happen when it happens, and when it does, great. And
yeah, well, some of the bands that they have put in, and then some of the ones that they haven't gotten around to yet, are just amazing to me.
I know, but it's par for the course, you know. When I think about it in a deeper level, all my awards are in heaven, so all my rewards are in this world now. Well, I don't need anything else. But if it happens, I'm not going to turn it down and say, oh, no, not me, please. I'll be there. I'll be having fun.
Now, the one question I get from fans a lot is, would you ever consider rejoining Yes if the opportunity came around?
It's a difficult question, obviously, because they've decided to do what they want to do. They basically, I don't know how to put this in any way. They just disappointed me totally, and a lot of fans, but who cares? You know, real band, people who like music, they don't care what the problems are within a band, you know.
Yeah.
And they decided they wanted to go and get a guy who sounded like me and looked like me, and he wasn't. You know, I'm not I'm not a pushover. Mm-hmm. I'm a good guy. I have a good, strong spirit, you know. And I'm doing what I believe to be the right thing by just getting on with music, rather than worrying about the band. I know they're out there, they're making an album, and good luck to them.
I mean, there's not a lot you can do about it, right?
It should have been done in a more, as I said, when it happened, in a more gentlemanly way. We should have talked a little bit more about it, but they need to make money. You know, they were broke and they needed to get on the road, and they like doing that. They like being journeymen. They want to go on the road, and I got a great life. I'm in love. I have a happy, beautiful, wonderful time with my marriage, and I have a beautiful home. And I want to spend time here working and creating.
Yeah.
Some people just want to be on the road all the time. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot else you can say, is there?
Not really.
Is there anything else you want to say about this new record or your upcoming endeavors before we go today?
Well, me and Rick are organizing some shows up in Canada and the East Coast and here, there, and everywhere this autumn. And I might even be working with the California Trio and 111. We've talked about, maybe getting a run of some shows together because we get on very well and we love making music. We've done it a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing a performance with the San Antonio Youth Orchestra on March the 12th. I'm preparing, actually, to do Awaken sometime this summer or next year. And there's a couple of other projects coming. So, there's a lot of things happening.
Well, that's great, man. Well, congratulations on this new record.
Good. I appreciate your conversation. Take care.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one.
Okay, bye.